till this weather calms down.
Yeah, and we might see these conditions throughout the morning and into part of the afternoon, although, Colin, they will get a little bit better, right?
Well, eventually they will, but right now we are in the thick of it as we continue to see some of the strongest conditions that we've seen thus far. Take a look at this camera. This is Market Street, College Road overpass just above us. Look at the rain-sped wind sweeping across the area here. Again, very strong northerly winds that will continue to move through the north and then the northwest at some 60 miles per hour. We have sustained wind speeds 46 miles per hour over at the airport with gusting conditions up into the mid-60s, and that's where we are for many locations. Tropical storm force winds. Meteorologist Rob Ellis and I were just talking about the fact that we don't want you to get a false sense of security. Yes, it looks like that we are dodging the proverbial bullet with most of the very heavy winds off to our north and to the east, but nonetheless, as I listen to the wind blow here right on top of our studios at Shipyard Boulevard, this is not a Category 2 storm force wind. This isn't even a Category 1 sustained forced wind. We're talking about a moderate tropical storm type conditions across most of southeastern North Carolina. Look at that as this tow truck goes through here. Really heavy amounts of precipitation have left a lot of ponding on the roadways. Tow truck, okay. Pass. But other people, we would urge you strongly to leave the roads looking like this. That way it's free and clear for emergency workers to get out there and do what they need to do as the winds start to subside and they get the opportunity to help out. Let's take a quick wind tour here across the region. 51 mile per hour gust within the last hour at Charlotte, 23 mile per hour gust at Sunset Beach. I'm not completely convinced that we're getting good data out of that return. 48 there off of Sunny Point, 66 mile per hour out of the official recording station for the airport. So very strong wind speeds here. And as we take a look at where Claire just was, she said that she thought that there were some hurricane force winds perhaps where she was, and I don't think that she's wrong, as we've seen 70 mile per hour gusts here at Back Island in the Holly Shelter Gameland area. And remember, winds out of the north over all of those trees here would certainly keep wind speeds down at the surface. So as this moves across the region, very likely to see some stronger wind speeds over the exposed beaches, especially when it gets the opportunity to run over the waterways and the like. Now, where we're really going to see the impact of this storm is just off to the north and to the east, as we have seen some of these wind speeds throughout the day up to 94. Further north you get into the east here through Carteret County, Jones County, Pamlico County. We're going to see some strong wind speeds in excess probably of sustained wind speeds at the hurricane force and perhaps gusting up to 80 or 90 or beyond 90 miles per hour. There you can see the heaviest convection, those rain bands now starting to rip through Morehead City, moving into the Pamlico Sound. A lot of rain, a lot of wind. We're starting to see a little bit of drier air, but it's not really inhibiting the winds very much, and I don't think that it will. Remember, as we've talked about this storm, some 200 miles away from the center of circulation, we have tropical storm force winds. So we could still see tropical storm force winds for many hours, even along the I-95 corridor. Places like Bladen County, we've seen 60 mile per hour gusts. Up into Sampson County, we're going to continue to see some strong gusty conditions. And although it may not rain for the entire event, we're still going to see the winds, especially on the south side of this system. Basically a rain train with heavy amounts of precipitation and some very strong winds moving north to south on a line from Burgaw down throughout the Cape Fear region into Bald Head Island. We're going to talk much more about this and the associated risks as we move throughout the day. Everybody wants to know, hey, when's this going to end? We're going to tell you coming up in just a few minutes. Bob and Kim?
I'm still headed for New England.
Yeah,
right?
it looks like the center of circulation will probably pass right through the Pamlico Sound on its way up, making it not such a good scenario for the folks at Cape Hatteras. As the center of circulation moving just to the east, that means the toughest conditions will be for folks there. We're seeing some rough conditions here across southeastern North Carolina. Get off the roads, come on. There's no reason to be out there really today. I mean, emergency vehicles only, at least through the midday. I know that we're all experienced with hurricanes. I've been here for a lot of them too, but we don't need any hero status. Just chill. Stay off the roads for a little bit. That'll give people an opportunity to get things under control as far as power outages go. We all would like to see our power come back on for the 14 to 18,000 people in New Hanover County who are without it right now. So give them a break. Taking a look at my Facebook wall, the reason, well, we have a lot of videos. I'm not the only guy that bamboozers. This is John Blake. He is down in Whiteville, bamboozering live conditions. Another reason, you don't even have to leave your house in order to be able to see what's going on. And as John has experienced experienced and many people across the area have experienced wind speeds in excess of 70 miles per hour here within the last hour in many locations, as gusty conditions will continue here throughout southeastern North Carolina. Taking a look at what we've seen as far as peak wind speeds in Whiteville up to tropical storm force winds, that's what we anticipated, that's what we're seeing. 58 mile per hour wind speeds there up toward Bladen Lakes. Amazing wind speeds when you consider the fact that that's about 60 miles or 50 miles or so from the coast and over 100 miles from the center of circulation, now making its way onshore near Cape Lookout, and will continue to move away from the area. But even though this is moving away and is what seems to be accelerating a little bit, we will still be dealing with hurricane-forced gusts, especially along the beaches, for hours to come as we go throughout the morning this morning. It's going to be busy here in the First Alert Weather Center. People have been asking, when is this going to subside? Well, let me take you through the day, minute by minute here. As we start the day, we'll see these rain bands continuing to move through gusty conditions, stormy conditions through probably 1 or 2 o'clock. The showers will start to diminish. We're already seeing some signs of that, but the winds will finally start to calm as we go into the late afternoon and early evening hours. We'll see some clearing conditions with gusts up to tropical storm force, not sustained winds up to tropical storm force. So there is some light on the horizon, as they say, but between now and then, urging people to stay off of the roadways and keep it right here with us for all the latest details. We have another advisory coming out here from the National Hurricane Center in about 40 minutes. Bob and Kim?
All right, Colin, thanks very much. Stuff outside, so trying to lay down a little bit wind-wise right now?
Well, not necessarily. I think we're just in between bands here. We're going to see a significant wind throughout the next several hours. It may not be to what we've seen over the last hour, which may have been by and far the peak of this storm as far as we are concerned here in southeastern North Carolina. Take a look at this picture right behind me. This is at Shipyard Boulevard and Carolina Beach Road as rainy and windy conditions continue. We're looking off toward downtown from this vantage point. And again, this is just one location where we're seeing the heavy winds. Downtown also seeing the winds there. This is our First Alert battleship camera looking over toward the Hilton along the foot of Water Street. You can see the windy conditions, choppy white caps right along the Cape Fear Rivers. The winds continue to move out of the north. It is, again, a power issue. And you guys talked about this as well, that the Progress Energy website is reporting as much as 50% of the customers in New Hanover County as I move in here. 112,000 people that they serve, and of those 112,000 people that they serve, 50% at this hour without power. So if you have it and are watching us, consider yourself lucky, as most people, or at least half of the people in our area now, without power from Progress Energy. 78 mile per hour gust at Boiling Spring Lakes as we take a look at the winds from around the area. 56 mile per hour gust at Wrightsville Beach. That's off of the high that we saw at 70 earlier during the storm. 60 mile per hour gust off of the buoy just offshore. However, at the Masonboro Inlet, we've seen gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour within the last hour as well. 39 mile per hour gust at Sneads Ferry, 49 mile per hour gust at Sandy Run, and 60 mile per hour gust there at Back Island, right in the central portion of the Holly Shelter Gameland. Getting some reports in from Craven County that are a bit concerning. It looks like that they have had some more of the storm surge associated with this than we have. 8.5 foot of storm surge reported in Craven County at the Cedar Island Ferry Terminal. 90 mile per hour gust within the last hour. These
Gust to 110 at the Cedar Island.
Gust to 110. So that might have been a 90 mile per hour sustained, with a gust up to sustained 90 there at Cedar Island. And just so you know exactly where that is, let me go ahead and show folks at home what we're looking at as far as some of these locations. Yeah, we do have watches and warnings up. Your hurricane warning is in effect for all of the coastal counties, tropical storm warning in inland locations. But right where this is going to shore now, as I move the digital Doppler radar in, the Cedar Island Ferry Terminal, I believe, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but just off of Harker's Island, correct? On the south edge here?
Yeah. You have to go up a little bit through Marshallville.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Cedar Island.
Sea level, all of that.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to put this in the now mode so you can see, yeah, there's some heavy convection just off of the north edge of this area. And as I move this to the sweeping radar, you can see some pretty good shower and wind speeds there just to the north of Cedar Island. Again, 110 mile per hour wind speed gust there. The conditions for those folks, again, in Pamlico County, across the Pamlico Sound and up toward Hatteras, certainly going to be a rough morning for those people there as we continue to see some deteriorating conditions. Got a couple other things coming off of the chat. Rob, can you fill us in, and I'll give folks a tour of the radar?
You know, it looks like a lot of things are happening right now just up the coast, and I just want to update you on a few of those because some of the reports are really concerning. In the Atlantic Beach area, the end of the pier is gone at Atlantic Beach. We also have some of the restaurant reported in Beaufort to have 1 to 3 feet of water. The dock is destroyed. A lot of wind reports, as much as 73, 78. You mentioned the gust of 110. And we did have some tornado warnings come out last night near Columbia, North Carolina, and we're seeing some reports of some houses destroyed. 6 houses damaged with 2 destroyed there, and some minor injuries reported. So this is in eastern North Carolina. But boy, it looks like they've had a bad couple of hours.
It really does. And as we take a look at this digital Doppler radar, you can see the center of circulation just now starting to make it on shore there near Atlantic Beach. I can only imagine what some of those conditions are like. We talked about that 8.5-foot storm surge in Craven County. Of course, that pools in some of these Carolina bays like this. You'll get pooling. However, along the more east-facing beach, my guess is they're also going to have a pretty good storm surge. Atlantic Beach, of course, the city of Atlantic and Atlantic Beach different, but out here right on the beach, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see some pretty devastating damage for the folks there just off the coast of the Atlantic Ocean as these heavier rain bands start to move in. Wind speeds, as Rob said, in excess of 110 miles per hour gusts, 90 mile an hour sustained, which is exactly what the Weather Service said that this storm was capable of producing near the eye wall, which is making its way onshore at this hour just off to the east of Morehead City, moving up toward the Pamlico Sound. It's going to be a rough day for folks in eastern North Carolina. We'll talk much more about this coming up after this break.
Of course, Colin, keeping a really close eye on exactly what Irene is doing right now. Colin.
We've got landfall. National Weather Service here, our office, or rather was at the Hurricane Center reporting landfall near Cape Lookout as predicted for about 3 days now. Their forecast track put it over Carteret County, and that is where we are seeing that storm make its way officially the first hurricane to make landfall in the United States in over 1,000 days. There it is, making its way onshore as it moves into the Pamlico Sound area. We are continuing to see some pretty heavy winds and rain here across the western edge of the storm. The wind fields, again, massive. 90 miles from the center of circulation, we're experiencing hurricane force winds. We do still have a hurricane warning in effect, but here's the latest on the 8 o'clock advisory. 85 mile per hour sustained winds. Again, 8 o'clock advisory, giving it to you 10 minutes before the hour. 85 mile per hour winds, latitude and longitude 34.7 north, tracking north pretty steadily now, 76.5 west, north-northeast at 13 miles per hour. The barometric pressure now at 952 millibars. It continues to keep a pretty decent a low pressure center there, even though it is encountering some shear on the southwestern side, but a massive storm. We're still talking about the scope of this thing reaching hurricane force winds 90 miles away from the center of circulation. So this storm now the first landfalling hurricane that we've had in quite some time, not only for the U.S. but for North Carolina as well. Not good news for the folks up toward Hatteras, up toward Stumpy Point. We're going to continue to see the possibility of 100 mile per hour plus winds, gusts for them. Again, 85 mile an hour sustained winds is what the Hurricane Hunter aircraft is picking up on the east edge of the storm as it continues its northerly track. 94 mile per hour gusts, we've seen that. We do have a hurricane warning in effect for all of the counties that you see there in hot pink. A tropical storm warning still in effect for Bladen and for Columbus County. We do also have an aerial flood advisory for Brunswick and New Hanover County as a lot of rain continues to move in from north to south across the central portions of our area, right along the Cape Fear River, basically on a line from Burgaw down toward Bald Head Island, and that will continue as this storm slowly starts to pull away. But again, the center of circulation has now made it over land. That center of circulation continues to pull away from the southeastern North Carolina coastline, but we can expect to see some more rain and some winds. And as that report showed in places like Oak Island and Ocean Isle Beach, we are seeing some clearing conditions, believe it or not. It still will be gusty and blustery throughout the mid portion of the day, but as this makes its way off toward the north and toward the east, I think that we will start to see some improving conditions as the day goes on. I'm going to update you with much more about Irene. We're going to take a look at some of the photos, including one of a tree across the top of a house. All that coming up after the break.